Hi guys, Cheryl here and I'm back. So what I'm going to do now is to show you how I did the basically the binding mechanism for the 6x6 mini album that we're doing. Again, I'm using Ozegran, Ozegran, and she's here on YouTube. She has a tutorial on how to do this, and this is a combination of Stack the Deck by Laura Dennison from Following the Paper Trail, as well as Kathy Order's Hidden Hinge System, and she's from Paper Phenomenon. I was okay with the flaps, but I wasn't okay with the flaps only because when you use the flaps, a lot of times I found myself using paper from the paper stack in order to make it blend in seamlessly, because you would always see, black cardstock or craft cardstock or white cardstock or, just whatever you use. And to me, it just didn't look finished or polished. So, this way, I think it's going to turn out a little better. I've seen a couple other people who've used this, and I like the way theirs looked. So, wish me luck. Again, as I go through this tutorial with the different things, you guys will be able to see, as I work through the album, you'll be able to see it once I have it down. So hopefully this will work. And without having the flaps, it doesn't add that bulkiness to it. And the way that I've adhered the paper, it seems to be pretty sturdy. All right, so I'm going to stop yapping about that, or chit-chatting, so to speak. And again, this is her YouTube name, and she's calling it the Stacked Hinge. So what you need is a 5 7/8 piece of paper. Well, I'm sorry, 12 by 12. And you're going to cut that down to 5 7/8 by 12. Okay. I've already gone ahead and scored it just to kind of save time. I didn't fold it yet because I'll do that with you guys. Because I know sometimes that can be the issue with folding. People aren't sure, where to fold things, or, whatever the case may be. All right. So again, 5 7/8 by 12. All right. So what you're going to do is you are going to make your first score mark at 2 inches. All right. And that's what this one is. And then what you do is every half of an inch, you make a score mark. All right. Can you guys see those? And you're going to make a score mark at every half of an inch all the way until you get to 10.5. All right. Okay. So there are a series of score marks that you guys can see. All right. And it starts at 2 and goes all the way to 10.5. All right. So what you're going to do is you're going to start folding once you finish that up. All right. So ultimately what's going to happen is these ends are going to fold to the back. All right. So if you want to, you can go ahead and fold those straight to the back. That way you know what it is that you have to do, and it won't be a problem. And these actually wound up being quite sturdy. I've already made 2. The first one I made a little differently than I made the second one, but I kind of like the way the first one is because it's a little bit sturdier than the second one. Even though it's going to be adhered down and I don't think it's going to be a problem, I just like the sturdiness of the first one. So that's the one I'm going to show you how I did, and then I'll explain to you what I did for the second one. Okay. So, again, like I said, you can fold these 2 flaps to the back first if you like, or, however it is that you want to do. Now, for the second one, keep in mind you need to fold it like this because, again, remember, this is what your hinge looks like, okay? So if you want to, you can fold it like this. So now, if you notice, the way this is starting to look, you fold this one up because this is what your paper is going to adhere to. This is going to be the hinge, okay? So if you fold this one up like this, the next one, remember, that needs to be your gusset. So if you want to, you fold this over. And I know this is going to be hard to see only because it is craft paper. And I do apologize, but I will promise to hold this up so you guys can see what I'm doing. So here's your hinge. This needs to be your gusset. So this needs to be folded up, okay? And once you start folding it up, I will turn it over just so you can make sure. Now, I know I'm doing this differently than some people. Some people put their tape down first. I don't like doing that because I get confused. I'm just being honest. I get confused. So I make my folds first, and then I go back in and I put my score tape. So if you noticed, here's your gusset on the back, okay? And then here's your hinge on the front, all right? And so here's the forming of your gusset right here. So you have gusset, hinge, gusset. Okay, so now that you formed your hinge, you formed your gusset, now you need to form another hinge. And all I'm doing is folding this just like so. So now I have two, okay? And so this one, you start folding it over. I would just flip it over just to make it easier and reinforce that fold. And I know I'm not using my bone folder. I'll go back over it later and use my bone folder. So again, here's my hinge, the first one. Here's the second one. All right, so there's my second hinge. This one, you need to start folding like this because you need to form your hinge. So it goes just like that. So just turn that over, reinforce that fold. And so now, when you look at it, you have hinge, gusset, hinge, gusset. Okay, can you guys see that? All right, so now I have a hinge, a gusset, a hinge, a gusset. So now I'm ready for another hinge. And I just keep folding, and you keep doing this all the way until you get to the end. Okay? I know this seems to be a little tedious, but I promise you it is so worth it in the end. And again, like I said, this is going to be my first time actually using this stacked hinge set, but I do believe it's going to be okay. So gusset, hinge, gusset, hinge. Here's a hinge. Now we need to make our gusset. Okay, so start folding that over right here. Can you guys see that? And then just fold that over. All right, so now I have hinge, hinge, hinge. Okay, so I've got my 3 gussets. Now I need to make another hinge. And then you can turn around and fold this like this. And then here we go. We got hinge, gusset, hinge, gusset, hinge, gusset, hinge. Now we need to have our gusset. So we'll fold this up like so. And then we can make our hinge and fold this back up because now we have a gusset. Okay. Now we have another hinge. Now we have a gusset. Okay. So let's see what we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I messed this one up. That's why it's important to check. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one goes up. That's what I was doing wrong. I got ahead of myself. Sorry about that. And then here is my hinge. There we go. That's better. All right, so now I have, sorry about that. So here I have a hinge, a hinge, a hinge, a hinge, a hinge, and a hinge. So you should have 6 hinges once it's all said and done. And when you flip it over to the back, if you squeeze all of these together, because I haven't put my tape in yet, you should see 6. Okay? So the way that I do this, after I've made all of my folds, okay, because now I have all my folds kind of like an accordion. Now that I have all my folds, I flip it over, and because I know where the hinges are going to be, that's where I apply my score tape. Okay, so I use score tape. I don't use ATG tape only because I want to make sure that this has a very good stick and it does not come up. All right, so again, I'm only applying it inside where you have made your folds. Okay, so if you see that, notice it will fold just like this. All right, and you see this little box here, that is your hinge. You can put tape on it, but I'm not going to put tape on it just yet because I want you to be able to see that the hinges are done, you know, and you'll see where the gussets are. Okay, if you guys are comfortable with that, putting the tape on this as well right away, go for it. I just like to do it a certain way. So whatever is comfortable for you, that's what you should be doing. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish putting tape right in where the folds are. Okay, and if I do shake the camera, I'm sorry. I got my hands through the tripod. I'm trying not to shake it. Let's see. Okay, so that's 4. Got 2 more to go. I did forget to do one thing. I forgot to cut the extra piece that I need, but that's only a small piece. I should be able to cut that with no problem. So I hope this is making sense to everybody. I hope I haven't thoroughly confused you. But I think it's going to turn out nice. The pages as they are now turned out really, really cute. So the next piece that I'm going to do for the tutorial will probably be maybe the pages. Yeah, I may do the pages and then come back later and do the actual covers for the books to show you guys how I do those. Okay, so I hope you guys like the project. I think it's going to turn out super, super cute once it's done. And I'm always looking for, you know, different ways to do things, you know, especially if I'm okay with it, but I'm not completely 100% happy with it. Like I said, I've never used Laura from Following the Paper Trail. I never used her stack the deck method, but I did like Kathy's method because of the flaps, but the flaps weren't always working to my needs either. So, okay, so now that I'm done, these are my hinges here, okay? So you see the hinges and you see the gussets, and these are 1/2 inch gussets. And I think when you put the pages on, especially if you have embellishments, even if they're the slightest embellishments, the 1/2 inch gusset will make a very, very big difference. Okay, so let's see. All right, so what you should do is definitely fold and flex these hinges back and forth, okay? Only because it makes it easier as you turn the pages if you do it now as opposed to later. It definitely makes a big difference, okay? So that's all I'm doing. I'm just flexing these back and forth, and sometimes it seems like they won't actually bend only because they're getting in the way of each other. That's okay too. I just move them anyway. So it just makes it just a little easier for them to go back and forth. So I just do this a couple of times. And then after I've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually fold this over onto the back for both sides, okay? So that this will actually give it a little bit of weight, make it a little bit sturdier. And then I'm also going to cut another piece of craft cardstock that is just slightly longer than this. Not lengthwise, but widthwise. Only because I wanted to have just a little bit of a flap. Not a very big flap, but just a little bit. Okay? And it gives it an extra little bit of weight. I can't bend this one as easy. This one I did differently. For this one, I actually made an extra 1/2 inch flap on each side. This one I can bend a little bit. And I mean, it's okay because it's going to be adhered down. I don't think it's going to pose a problem. But I like the first one I did where I made it so that there was no hinge whatsoever and glued that down. And then took another piece and made just a little tiny hinge on each side. Or should I say a little tiny flap on each side. This one is sturdier. It's heavier and you're not able to bend this one as easily as I can the other one. So that's just me. If you guys want to do it the other way, if you want to have this flap right here on the side, this 1/2 inch flap, with this one, you have to start your scores at 1.5 and then you keep scoring until you get to 11. And then make your folds exactly as you normally would. And then you'll have, you know, make this small fold right here, your first fold, your hinge to the side. That's not the hinge sitting up. And you'll be able to get it to look just like that. I just like this one, as I said before, only because it's a little heavier. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to take score tape and I'm going to place score tape on each one of these pieces right here for the gusset. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do first. And if you smash this down just a little bit, that'll be okay, because keep in mind these are hinges, so all you're really doing is just maneuvering them, so it'll be all right. Okay. So I'll show you guys what this looks like once I'm done. And again, this is just to make sure to give you some sturdiness, okay? And it's just, you know, my preference. Okay. So, again, here are the score tape that I have on the ends. Okay. So all I'm doing is smoothing it down just a little bit to make sure it gets a good stick, and then I can peel it off. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to make sure there isn't any extra tape sticking off to the side. Okay. And then all I'm going to do is take this, make sure that it lines up, and stick it down and just smooth it out. Okay. Now, because this side right here, there's only one piece that's left, I would line this with some score tape as well, just to make sure that you don't have any lifting. Okay. That's all I'm doing now, is just adding extra score tape. I would rather have lots and lots of score tape than not have enough. Okay. So I'm only putting down 2 rows, only because once I fold this over, this piece right here will have some, okay? Because of that tape right there. All right. So let me go ahead and take this off. Okay. And I'm going to take this and stick this down as well. Now, you don't have to put that extra piece on the back. I just, you know, I did. That was just me. It's actually a little flimsy now. And that will be okay too, because once you actually put this down on the spine to get ready to adhere it, it would actually stick. You wouldn't have any problem, and it's not going to go anywhere because you'll be using your score tape. But just for me, just for my peace of mind, I would like to put, you know, just the extra piece that's on the back. So this actually measures, let me go ahead and measure this really quickly. This actually measures 2.5 by 5 7/8. So what I'm going to do is, let's see if I have a piece of paper that actually fits before I cut one. Give me one moment, guys. I'm sorry. I call myself being prepared for everything, but you know, you can't be prepared for everything. Okay, this piece will fit. So I am going to actually eyeball this. I'll make this cut really quickly. Let's see, how did I do? Okay, did pretty good, not too bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put tape all along the back of here, all over, and then I'm going to stick that down to this extra piece of paper. Okay, so because this, once you're all done, because this winds up being 2.5 by 5 7/8, you're going to need this to be, I would say, if you don't make it 3, make it 2 7/8 by 5 7/8. Okay, only because I wanted just a little bit of a tiny flap to the side. Not a lot, but just a little. Okay, so I'm going to just place some tape all over the back just to make sure that it gets a very good stick. And then I'll come back with I'll come back and share with you guys the measurements for the mats that you need for the pages that you've cut already from the first part of this tutorial, okay? And I am breaking it up only because, you know, just to make it easier on you guys. I know sometimes when you have long videos, you know, you tend to lose interest sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying it happens all the time, but it does happen. So I figure if I break it up into segments, it might make it a little easier for you guys, okay? So I'm almost done with this one. So again, all I do is I'm just smoothing this down, and then I'm going to peel off the tape. And then I'm peeling the tape off. I'll be able to stick this down. Now, you can eyeball this, or, you know, however it is that you want to do. I'm actually going to try to eyeball it. So, let's see. Here we go. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to just go in the gussets and just smooth it down to make sure that it fits. Okay. And then the two flaps on the side, I'll just smooth those down, smooth those in, and then just smooth it on the back. And so that's the way it looks. So, excuse me, this is going to be your binding right here for your pages. All right, and see if you notice, this one doesn't move a whole lot. Not like this one. And like I said, I don't know that it actually really matters, only because, again, this is going to be adhered down, and it's going to be adhered down with plenty and plenty and plenty of score tape. So that might not necessarily make a difference. Just my own comfort level, it would feel better like this because this really doesn't move that much. Okay, so again, this is going to be your binding for your pages to hold your flaps, to hold your pages and stuff. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I hope this is coming across pretty clear for you guys as far as what to do and how I'm doing everything. So I will talk to you guys soon in the next segment. Have a good one. Bye-bye.